So, we are here with our CEO, Jomar Hooper, to have a fireside chat about where we've been and where we're headed to in the next upcoming few years, days, weeks, months, all of that good stuff. So, we're excited to have him. He's been with us for a few years, and I know that I enjoy working with him because he is so approachable. He is welcoming, he is warm, he is humble, he is a real person. And so I'm excited that you actually get the opportunity to connect with him as well. And he has given us a vision for the future that's concrete with steps that we can actually take. And that excites me as well, too. So, Jamar, I'm going to give it to you and you can let us know what's happening.
Well, it sounds like I literally pay you to say that. I appreciate that, Megan. Thank you for the kind words, and I'm always excited to be able to hop on with our partners and supporters, our collaborators and supporters, to be able to talk a little bit about Third Decade, and specifically today to talk a little bit about just a little bit of our journey. As Megan mentioned, I've been around for about a little over 2.5 years now. So, and I haven't melted being in Arizona, which is a great thing. I'm still adjusting to the temperature down here. But it's just been awesome being able to work with the professional team that I have here at Third Decade. That's really been pushing our mission forward, and we're just excited for not only just where we've come as an organization, which I'm going to talk about, but where we're headed in the future as well too. So I do ask you all to bear with me for a second as well, because technology is technology. So I'm dealing with one monitor, my laptop monitor today, versus being able to deal with the three screens that I traditionally would be using at this point in time. So bear with me as I try to toggle things back and forth as well. So just to talk a little bit about our journey at Third Decade, we are coming up on our fifth anniversary as an organization. And in this 5 years, we've been able to really clamp down on what our mission is, what our vision is, and really take a lot of concrete steps to hope to get us to meet that mission, and hopefully put ourselves out of business one day as an organization. We're really working towards those goals that we've set for ourselves and really working to try to do what we can for the young adults which we serve. And we know we can't do it alone, and we've brought a great group of collaborators, partners, sponsors, supporters with us, and we wouldn't be able to do this work without those folks. And you guys are a part of that. Everybody who's on this call right now is a part of that team and a part of the Third Decade family. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without that. So let me just take you on a little journey with us here at Third Decade for a little bit. So as I mentioned, we're coming up on our 5-year anniversary, and we were founded tangentially in 2016, but now that we are up upon 2019 is when we became an official organization. Is when we got our feet wet, started to move forward, and started to figure out what it is we wanted to be. We got our curriculum, we coalesced around that, and we started the process of really getting mentors on board with Third Decade to help us move forward. In 2020, the pandemic came. For some, it was the worst thing possible. Looking back for Third Decade, it was actually a blessing in disguise, because we did all of our classes in person in Arizona during prior to 2020. The pandemic forced us to go virtual, and when you know it, we went virtual, and all of a sudden we have a national model that allows us to scale up and allows us to serve folks throughout the country. To this day, we've been able to serve folks in, I want to say, about 42 states currently. And I was really shocked. I logged on to one of our sessions a couple quarters ago, and there was somebody taking our class from Japan. I don't think they live in Japan. They were over there visiting, but they logged on in Japan to take the Third Decade class. And that was super awesome to see as well, too. So we've been able to grow based upon that happenstance of the pandemic, which really forced us offline and it forced us to really think about our platforms, think about how we can serve in a greater way. Moving forward to 2021, we moved to a quarterly format so that we can serve more folks in our program, which worked out well for us. We were going two per year, but this really allowed us to move to a better format, which was going to scale up who we can serve and how we can serve. And then we started to really have that national mindset as an organization. We partnered with Dimensional Fund Advisors, and we did a little pilot in California, Texas, and North Carolina to see how we can get firms and mentors from those states to be a part of Third Decade's work. And it really worked out for us. We were able to grow in those states, and that really got our wheels turning and figuring out how we can do this on a nationwide level. So proceeding into 2022, I like to call this is our culminating year, I like to call it. And Megan's probably gonna blush, but I like to call it like like AD and BC. It's before Megan and after Megan. How our paradigm really shifted as an organization. Her coming in and looking at what we have as an organization, looking at our assets and looking at goals around our mentors and how we can bring in more folks in our training has leaps and bounds grown our organization. Being able to have a platform that is professional, that we have folks can come in, they have a amazing training platform where they're going to get the training about how to be a great mentor and how to have those great conversations. And then just really standardizing the work around our mentoring really took us to it to the next level. Boosted us through the stratosphere, honestly. So being able to continue that national launch, but with the professional standards for our mentors that we implemented in 2022 and beyond was a big deal for us. And as we move forward into 23, again, we grew the number of mentors that were on board with us. We grew the number of firms that wanted to be a part of us. And we surpassed the 1,000 alumni mark. That was a big deal for us at the end of 23, being able to say we have these new alumni. We also invested heavily in our platforms in that year. We brought on the new Volunteer Matters platform, which Megan's team utilizes for our training and for our mentor strategy. And we launched a new classroom platform. So we were in Google Classroom. It wasn't meeting our needs anymore as we were growing. So we have a really wonderful system called Absorb, which is our learning management system, which all of our participants are able to log on to and really just get into our program and figure out which way to go. And it really works well for us. So technology has been a big deal for us as we moved into the virtual world to be able to scale up our technologies. We also use a new one called Coconut. We also have switched from eMoney to Elements. And as a part of that, I really want to thank you all, our mentors, for your patience with us in that, because we know all these new platforms can have your head kind of spinning. And you guys did a wonderful job of understanding why we were switching to the new platforms and wanting to work with us as we move forward. Now in 24, we're doing some wonderful things as well too. And one thing I really wanted to highlight is that we continue to have a focus on how we can grow our program to the greatest extent. And we decided that we were really going to try to focus in on how we can reach those English as a second language learners as a part of our work here at Third Decade. So we translated our curriculum in Spanish. We now have a Spanish option that's a part of our asynchronous platform at Third Decade, and we're going to be rolling that out more and more as we proceed. And we also have created new options to be able to serve folks who are slightly falling outside of our traditional curriculum. So we want to really just figure out how we can continue to grow, continue to serve, and continue to move forward. So next slide. And I mentioned some of the progress and how our evolution of our mentoring program has really taken us to the stratosphere. We've done a lot prior to 2022. We really just working with Dimensional Fund Advisors and working with TCI really got us to a point where we knew we had a great proof of concept and we had some mentors on board. But being able to have that standardized curriculum, that standardized training, and that standardized platform for how we can actually support you all as mentors was the biggest deal for us. So we ramped up, and now I think we're give or take about 168 mentors currently at some point in their mentor journey with us here at Third Decade. So we're continuing to always refine, always add to our training. The team that you all work with does a wonderful job of ensuring that you all are supported and continuing to be supported, and not just that, but to be recognized as well too. That's been a big deal for us. So the support and the recognition and the standardization that you've seen come up in 22 and 23 and 24 has been a big deal for us. We're going to continue to do more training. We're going to continue to do more networking as we move forward and more standardization of our program to make sure that you all are getting what you need from Third Decade to the greatest extent possible. Next slide. And I mentioned that growth. So the growth has been the big deal for us. So obviously managing growth as a leader can be sometimes difficult, right? Because how do you get the resources in place to be able to manage the growth? How do you know when the growth is scalable? And how do you know when to bring on the right staff? We've been fortunate to grow our staff in a great direction to be able to support both on the mentoring side and on the program side. And if you look at our enrollment, we're really reaching our goals here. We did a new strategic plan in 2022. It identified that we wanted to continue to grow our enrollment up to being able to have 1,000 participants a year next year is our goal. So as you see in 23, we really hit the stratosphere. You know, our goal was to serve 500 folks in 23, and we exceeded that goal significantly. Our goal is to serve 700 young people this year, and this is the 2024 number is just through quarter three. So we still have a whole quarter left, and our goal is to get to that 750. And even if we don't get to it, we're making really great strides to feel comfortable in the direction that we're headed as an organization. So we feel really proud about where we're going. We feel really proud about the capacity that's been created to serve more people through the work of our mentors. And we just want to continue to grow and scale that as we move forward too. Next. So again, I mentioned that mentor evolution as well too. We've grown the number of mentors significantly, and a lot of that is just because we do have that standardization, we do have that training, and we have marketed to be able to have a great group of folks throughout the country, such as yourself, who understand what their decade does and want to be a part of the success of our participants. And you see, there's just a upward trend in the number of mentors that we have, which we have a direct correlation between the mentors that we have and the number of participants that we're able to serve. And being able to have more and more mentors like yourselves as a part of our work allows us to serve more and more young adults. So we're going to keep moving this trendward up as we continue to move the trend line of how many participants we serve up and up and up. So we're really excited about our direction here. Next slide. And again, I mentioned that working with our collaborating firms is a big deal for us. So we're in a position where we've continued to grow the number of RIA firms that understand what their decade is doing and want to be a part of the work and bring our model for our participants and for our mentors as a part of their work. You know, their mentors are allowed to volunteer during the workday. They're allowed to take on participants with us, and we have a standardization process with them as well. So this has been a big deal for us. So we anticipate there's going to be some growth here as we move forward. And our firms are all throughout the country as well too. So as we've been able to expand, I mentioned we had folks in 42 states from our participants. I want to say we're at about 26. We have mentors from about 26 different states at this point in time as well too. Like also, you know, again, I mentioned we could not do this without our mentors. Our mentors are the lifeblood of what we do, and it's really what sets us apart as an organization. You know, there's a lot of organizations around town, around the world that talk about doing financial education, that talk about doing financial literacy. But I feel like our secret sauce is the well-trained and caring mentors that we have on board here at Third Decade. And with that impact, we just want to continue to scale up. Look at what we've been able to accomplish with the work that you all have put in for us. Again, we're serving folks in over 40 states. We have about 167 active mentors right now. We have about 1,235 folks at some point in time in their 2-year journey with us right now. That is amazing to have 1,200 young adults that are at their on their journey with Third Decade at this point in time. And beyond that, I mentioned we reached that 1,000 alumni mark last December. We're now at 1,150 alumni, and our alumni network is growing and growing and growing. And we're going to keep figuring out ways to engage our alumni. We're looking at platforms the other day to figure out how we can get our alumni on platforms so we can engage them more. And there's going to be opportunities for our mentors to engage with our alumni in the future as we have more and more opportunities for workshops like we had this year with our Alumni Week, which several of our mentors were a part of helping us make a successful week. And again, the impact we have with our change in net worth, is significant. 95% or more of our participants will see a positive change in their net worth based upon the knowledge and the guidance that our mentors provide, with the average being about 63,000, and that's even taking out the outliers. As you all know, there's folks at different levels of their journey, right? So that's you may gain 63, but you started at -80, right? But it's just about the impact that our mentors are having to be able to give them the guidance and help them set the goals they need to be successful. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we're moving the dial in DEI as well too. It's important to us to serve a diverse group of folks as a part of our program, and we're happy to report, 70% of our participants are women at this point in time. They are really getting it, and they're really understanding what our program brings and wanting to be a part of that. And we've really grown the number of Hispanic and Latino folks in our program, and the number of African American folks, which the 11% actually represents a 98% increase from 2002 when it comes to the number of African Americans in our program, which is significant. Next slide. And let's talk a little bit about our future. I mentioned next year we hope to serve 1,000, and in order to do that, we're going to continue to market, continue to get more and more participants on board. We're going to have an ask for you all in one more slide when we talk about that. But we want to be able to serve 1,000 folks next year. So we need to continue to grow the number of mentors that we have on board that are available for us and that want to continue with us. We don't want to. We'd love to have folks come on for one quarter, but if you can stay and help more folks in their journey, that's awesome for us. We want to expand our programmatic offerings. We are going to do more and more workshops as we move forward for businesses, organizations, and companies. I mentioned our ESL curriculum. That is so exciting that we're rolling that out later this year to be able to serve folks in a language that they prefer if that's their option. And again, beyond our regular criteria, I just got an email from somebody who's 57 today and said, "Hey, I know I'm not in your demographic when it comes to age, but I'm in your demographic when it comes to finances. Is there anything that you guys have for us?" I would love to be able to have a good answer, and we do now actually have a good answer as far as how we can get them some resources to be able to help people who are not in our target millennial and Gen Z groups to get the knowledge that they need to be successful. I mentioned our alumni engagement. We're going to continue to do more and more of that, and I'm excited for where that's going to take us in the future. We're going to continue to engage our base of supporters, both in our current firms, our current philanthropy partners, and our current major donors to really be a part of our work so that they can see what their decade is like, they can see their impact, and they can see how their resources and their support will help us continue to grow. And one of the things we just talked about recently too, I'm excited for our podcast changes as well too. We've just been doing regular podcasts in the past, like they've been outstanding. But I think now we're gonna take advantage of opportunities to get them on YouTube, to be able to talk with folks and answer questions from our alumni. And we're rolling out a brand new website in the next 2 weeks, I would say as well too. So please check that out. And all of our social media and things are really going to connect very, very well to our website as we try to drive more traffic there moving forward. Looks like. So I mentioned I'm gonna have an ask, right? So you gotta have an ask on something like this, right? We gotta have you guys. I have a audience here. I gotta ask for something. So my biggest ask for you all are these three things. Number one, just continue to spread the word about Third Decade. We want to be able to grow the number of participants that we have on board. And by letting the world know via your social media, via your friends, your family, your colleagues, people at the dog park, at the baseball game, let everybody know about Third Decade. And maybe we have to get some Third Decade t-shirts for everybody so you guys can all just be walking billboards. But we want you to spread the word because you volunteer with us and you obviously know the importance of our mission and the work we do, because you wouldn't be here if you didn't. So you guys are great spokespeople for us. So get the word out for Third Decade and really help us move the needle to get more and more young adults into our program. And again, we're also going to be seeking out new sponsors and collaborators. So whatever community you're in, if there's a local business or a local organization that you think needs to know about Third Decade, let me or Megan know. We're more than happy to hop on a Zoom with anybody at any point in time to talk about potential collaborations, to talk about sponsors, to talk about donations, to talk about volunteering. We use this phrase, have presentation, will travel. So let us know. So make those connections for us. Nothing better than a warm connection from somebody who's directly involved in the work of the organization. So we appreciate that in advance. And then last but not least, I mentioned this as well. We want you to stay committed with us and bring your friends with you. You are here at Third Decade for a reason. You guys are being able to serve the young adults we have. I hope that and I'm confident that you're having a great experience. So we want you guys to continue with us as long as you feel comfortable, as long as your career will let you, and then bring your friends along with you. If there's friends in the industry that you think would be great mentors, let them know, and at least introduce them to Megan or myself, and we'd love to have a conversation with them about what that could look like for them to volunteer with Third Decade as we move into the future. So with that,
Yay, that's the end. So good job. He got you out in record time. I think he has like 45 seconds left. So that's what makes him the leader of this organization and not me, who always runs over 5 minutes. So excellent. So remember to record your hour for being here. We'll do it for you if you don't, and give us feedback on this session.
What are some challenges you see Third Decade have for fulfilling its mission in the future?
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to challenges, I point to two things that we're looking for. And I don't even call them challenges, they're opportunities, right? So these are things that we recognize that we need to work on and things that we want to continue. So obviously I mentioned participants. We didn't really start marketing as an organization until the beginning of 2023. A lot of our participants still came from word of mouth, and it's still a big deal for us right now as far as word of mouth. But as we continue to grow, we build more capacity by adding more and more volunteers to our work. We can serve more and more people, and we're ramping up our marketing on social media, through organizational partnerships and the like. But it's still a big challenge for us, right? We want to get people into our organization. We want folks to understand what this work can do for their lives, which it's life changing, right? So that's our biggest challenge, is getting folks to understand what Third Decade is, and then wanting to be a part of it. It's a big commitment in your life as a participant to say, okay, I am actually ready to be critical of myself, look into my finances, and make that behavioral change that is going to be necessary to get to the next step. So our goal is to just, number one, get as many participants as possible, and that's a challenge for us. So that's why I have that ask to see how we can get as many partnerships, as many collaborations, as many voices on Third Decade to ensure we're getting participants coming. And then obviously, as a nonprofit, we're looking to continue to grow our resources that we have available to serve. Right? We are reliant on the benefit of corporations, sponsorships, and philanthropy and individual donors. So as we continue to move that process forward, just continue to identify new folks who believe in our mission and want to support us moving forward is going to be imperative as well too. So again, they're not even challenges. They're opportunities for us as an organization. If I could talk.
All right, thank you. And then the next question I have for you is, how has your previous leadership experience influenced your approach to leading Third Decade?
I would say that everything that's come before this has really shaped me, either in a good way or a bad way. I guess I would say that. So I know let's think about my last organization. I had to manage during the pandemic. And the challenges that came along with the pandemic, and then the great resignation and folks leaving. So understanding, how to really cultivate and allow staff to lead and to make sure that they feel valued, to me, is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned throughout my career. So, trying to take that and trying to really cultivate a staff of the awesomeness that you guys see before you has been great for me. But to be able to know I trust them, and to lean on them when we need things and we need changes as an organization, has been super important for me as well too. But I guess what I would also say too, another thing that's really built up from in the past, is just, being able to identify, a vision for the organization. I wanted to, really come in and just determine where our direction was, and be able to have that vision and really have the necessary tools and support to make sure that myself and my staff can move forward with implementing that vision, and that we have buy-in from both the board, from our staff, and from the communities in which we serve, which is our mentor and our participants, to be able to understand that this is our vision and to buy into wanting to do that mission. So it's been fun being the leader of this organization. I can say that, and I'm happy we're not in the pandemic anymore.
I have one more question that was sent ahead of time via email. Can you share a success story from Third Decade that stands out to you?
There's too many of those, Denise. Success story. Let me see if I can find one success story. I really, really value our relationship with the Dorrance Scholarship Foundation. I think this has been a big win for us. So just to give you all some background. So there's a scholarship foundation in Arizona called the Dorrance Foundation that provides full ride scholarships to 60 young people every year at Arizona State, University of Arizona, and Northern Arizona. So as a part of that, every summer we go and do workshops for the incoming freshmen at those colleges, just to really get them excited and talk about financial education, and help set the stage so they don't make dumb mistakes like we probably did when we were in college. I always tell a story about getting my first Discover card my freshman year, and how, what is interest? Who knows what is, I'm supposed to pay back plus interest? What is that? So being able to teach them upfront some of these concepts has been important. But we also have a partnership with them on the back end. So once the kids graduate from college, we have a direct partnership with Dorrance for them to get their alumni into our program at Third Decade, into a very specific cohort, so they can go deeper with the knowledge that we gave them 4 years ago, but they can also go deeper with the current educational topics, and be able to have access to one of our mentors as well. So that, to me, that's been a wonderful model for us. And I know we're directly impacting lives on the front end of college and on the back end of college through this program as well too.
Which colleges do we have connections with?
So I think universities are a really burgeoning field for us. So we've been able to make some inroads with University of Arizona, which is right in our backyard down in Tucson. So that's been a good one for us. But we've also had conversations with folks at the University of Houston, University of Texas Austin. I'm trying to University of Wisconsin Milwaukee, which is where I graduated from. So we know that that is a way for us to really try to do get some alumni on board. So I've been having some conversations with their both their financial aid folks and their alumni organizations to figure out how we can create some pipelines. So pipeline is a word that I say a lot. We want to create pipelines to get young adults into third decade. And when they're getting ready to graduate and get that first job, move into the real world, that's a really direct pipeline to be able to grab them, let them know before you make those mistakes when you get your first job. We hopefully we stopped you from making any mistakes in college. You're gonna get your first job. Let's not make those mistakes. Let's get into third decade immediately and really start moving the needle there. But all that to say is we want to really grow our university partnerships. It's a burgeoning area for us. We don't have a ton right now, but it's something that we want to grow significantly as we move forward. And those are really tough areas to get into too. So if you all are part of any alumni associations, we love those connections.
What kinds of outreach do we have to Hispanic communities?
Ah, so that's a beautiful one as well too. So being in Arizona, obviously we have a really large Hispanic population, and as we were starting, as we moved into this year, one of our biggest goals was how to engage that population as much as possible. So one of the areas, just one of the areas in which we wanted to start with that, I mentioned that English as a second language option for third decade. So we've translated our entire classroom portion into our asynchronous class in Spanish. So we're allows us to really market to folks who prefer to speak in Spanish, or if you feel more comfortable speaking in Spanish, that's an opportunity that we have here at Third Decade to come into our asynchronous classes, get the education in the language that you prefer, and then also be able to work with someone as amazing as Dahlia, who is our bilingual mentor, to be able to have conversations and be able to talk about your finances and about your trajectory in a language that you feel more comfortable with. So that's just been one of the areas of outreach. But we also are trying to and looking to build relationships with primarily Hispanic serving organizations throughout the country as well too, whether that be the Hispanic Chambers of Commerces that we've talked with and dealt with, or just really, trying to figure out what are some organizations that really do social services in those areas and try to connect with them. Those are areas that we've really identified and are trying our darndest to get some inroads and connections in as we try to market to not just the English as a second language folks, but just to the Hispanic community in general as well.
Yeah, Dahlia, I just want to second that she's been a huge part, the part in getting that curriculum translated and being the primary mentor that speaks Spanish for a lot of people. They feel a lot more comfortable, even if they do speak English incredibly well. Sometimes it's just easier to do that in your home language. And she will be attending a conference with Latin advisors in the fall to gain more support in that direction too. So we're excited to have that. Anything else that you want to add that's come to mind during this?
Uh, no, I'm just as I look out the window, I'm just thinking about it's almost fall here. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm in Phoenix right now, and we're still burning up. So whatever part of the country you guys are in, I hope that your summer's winding down well. Kids are starting back school, but we want to keep you engaged with Third Decade as well too. So obviously, let us know if there's anything specific that we can do or that you need. We are there for you because you are there for us. So just let us know what we can do for you all. One thing I didn't add into the presentation, which popped in my head right now, is that we've one area of marketing that we've actively done, and we actually have resources and flyers for this now, is that we really have coalesced around the idea that financial literacy has greater effects than just on your pocketbooks, that it's going to have mental health and less stress. So why can't Third Decade be a part of every single organization's employee health and employee wellness program? So we're really doing some outreach to employers. We have specific flyers and specific outreach to say, hey, we have this free program for your employees that qualify. Why don't you be the one to push them in that direction? Offer this as a benefit to your employees as well too. So that's going to be another burgeoning area for us as we work with major employers throughout the country to hopefully get their people as a part of Third Decade.
So thank you very much, Jomar, for taking the time out of your busy schedule. We know how busy it is, to join us and share this message. It has been incredible. I get to talk to you just about every day, but I still enjoy it. So thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you all for joining us today. Again, we couldn't be the organization that we are if it wasn't for the work that you all put in on behalf of our participants. So I just want to say thank you for that as well, too.